I joked to my neighbor, "You should leave him." The next day she arrived at my door with luggage. Ilara sat by the small window of her apartment, the faint hum of the colony outside filling the room. New Haven was alive, even at dawn. The city had grown vertically over the decades, stretching into the sky with sleek towers of metal and glass. Between the towers, drones floated silently, delivering supplies, monitoring traffic, and keeping everything in order. It was a colony built on precision and logic. Humans lived there, but the colony was ruled by efficiency. AI ran most things from transport to food production. Ilara preferred quiet mornings. She liked her routine: a cup of synthetic coffee, a small breakfast, and scanning communications reports from distant sectors. She worked as a communications analyst, monitoring messages from other colonies and settlements. It was safe, predictable work. That morning, though, her peace was broken by a knock at her door. "Good morning, Ilara," said a familiar voice. It belonged to Myra, her neighbor. Myra looked tense, carrying a small bag in her hand. Her usually composed face seemed strained. "Morning," Ilara said cautiously. "Is everything okay?" Myra hesitated, glancing around nervously. I need a place to stay for a while." Ilara raised an eyebrow. "For a while? What happened?" Myra bit her lip. "It's complicated." Ilara remembered joking to Myra just the day before, lightly teasing, "You should leave him." It had been a casual remark, meant to make her laugh. They had shared a few friendly smiles over coffee, but she had never expected Myra to actually take it seriously. Myra seemed to read her thoughts. "I know it sounded like a joke, but I can't stay there anymore, not with him." Ilara frowned. "Are you sure?" "That's a big decision. I've been thinking about it for a long time, but now I have to go." Myra's voice shook slightly, and Ilara noticed her hands gripping the bag tightly. Ilara stepped aside, letting Myra enter. "Of course, you can stay as long as you need." The apartment smelled faintly of recycled air and the coffee Ilara had made. Myra placed her bag down and sat on the small sofa, taking a deep breath. "I didn't just come here because of personal reasons." Ilara frowned. "What do you mean?" Myra hesitated, then slowly opened her bag. She pulled out a small, glowing object about the size of a tablet. It hummed softly, like it had its own heartbeat. Ilara leaned forward, eyes wide. "What is that?" "It's a data crystal," Myra said quietly. I took it from him." Ilara's heart skipped a beat. "You stole it," Myra nodded. "It's important, very important, and now people are looking for it." Ilara felt a chill. In New Haven, stealing or even possessing restricted tech was dangerous. AI oversight was strict and the consequences were severe. "People?" she asked cautiously. "Yes," Myra whispered. "Some are humans, but some are not. The AI enforcers are already looking for it. They can't predict humans very well, but they track everything else." Ilara glanced at the window. Outside, a small drone floated silently near her building. It was sleek and metallic, with a camera lens that seemed to follow every movement. "You think they're here already?" Ilara asked. Myra nodded. "I don't know how long we have. I need to hide it and I need to keep safe." "That's why I came to you." Ilara swallowed hard. Helping Myra was risky, but she couldn't turn her away. She motioned to the small table. "Let's sit. Tell me everything you know." Myra sat down, placing the crystal carefully on the table. It glowed softly, casting flickering light across her worried face. "I worked with him for years," Myra began. "He's part of the colony's AI governance. He makes sure the AI systems run perfectly. But the AI isn't perfect. He discovered something that could change everything. The data crystal has plans, blueprints, something humans never had before, something that can change the way humans interact with AI." Ilara stared at the crystal. She didn't understand everything, but she felt the weight of its importance. "Why would anyone want this? And why would your husband want to keep it?" Myra shook her head. "It's not just him. Others will kill for this. The AI sees humans as predictable tools, easy to control." But this changes that. It makes humans dangerous, in a way the AI can't understand. Alara's mind raced. She had always thought humans were weaker compared to AI, but the thought that humans could become unpredictable, powerful, sent a shiver down her spine. A soft beep from the crystal caught their attention. Myra frowned. It's activating. The glowing crystal projected a faint holographic display above the table. Strange symbols and diagrams floated in the air. Alara's eyes widened. She couldn't read most of it, but she understood enough to know it was advanced, far beyond anything she had ever seen. It's some kind of blueprint, Myra explained, for humans to interface with AI in ways no one thought possible. To teach AI creativity, adaptability, even empathy. Alara's mind reeled. That could change everything. Not just this colony, but all colonies. Myra nodded. That's why I had to leave. I can't stay there, I can't trust anyone, and now I have to stay hidden. Outside, the drone shifted slightly. Its camera lens glinted in the morning sun. Alara's stomach tightened. They had been noticed. Already, she looked at Myra. We need a plan, fast. Myra nodded, pulling a small device from her pocket. I've prepared a temporary shield. It can block drone sensors for a few hours, enough to get us out of immediate danger. Alara hesitated. We were going to run. Myra's eyes were determined. We don't have a choice. If we stay, they'll take the crystal, and they'll take me. Alara took a deep breath. The thought of leaving her apartment, of facing whatever was out there, was terrifying. But something in Myra's words stirred a fire inside her. Humans were underestimated. Always. Maybe it was time to prove them wrong. They quickly packed essentials, food, water, and a few personal items. Alara grabbed a small communicator just in case. Myra carefully secured the crystal in a protective case. Then together, they stepped out into the morning light. The city was bustling, unaware of the small crisis unfolding in its midst. People walked past, oblivious to the danger hovering in the sky above. The drone floated silently, tracking them. Alara and Myra moved quickly through narrow alleyways, using shadows and overhangs to hide. Every corner held the possibility of discovery. Every street could be their last. This way, Myra whispered, leading them toward a hidden service corridor she knew from years of working in the colony. It'll take us to the maintenance tunnels. No drones can follow there. At least not easily. Alara followed closely, her heart pounding. She felt fear, yes, but also a strange exhilaration. For the first time, she felt the unpredictability of humanity might be a strength. They could improvise, they could survive. As they slipped into the narrow tunnel, the hum of the colony above faded. It was dark, damp, and the walls were covered in pipes and wiring. But it was safe for now. Myra set the crystal down and they both sat, catching their breath. The glow of the device filled the small space. Alara stared at it, fascinated. This could be humanity's advantage, she said quietly. The AI never expected humans to be this clever. Myra smiled faintly. We're unpredictable, that's our power. They can track drones, analyze data, predict behavior, but they can't predict us. Alara nodded, a new resolve building inside her. The journey ahead would be dangerous, perhaps even deadly. But for the first time in her life, she felt like humans weren't just tools or subjects to AI. They were something more. And as they sat in the darkness, with the colony above unaware, both women knew their lives had changed forever. Outside, the drone lingered, its sensors scanning the area. It was only a matter of time before more came, but Alara and Myra were ready. For now, the adventure had begun. The maintenance tunnels of New Haven smelled of damp metal and recycled air. The hum of machinery echoed softly around them as Alara and Myra moved cautiously, the glowing data crystal secured carefully in its protective case. Every step echoed in the narrow corridor, a reminder that any sound could give them away. Alara's heart pounded. "How long do you think they'll track us?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Myra shook her head. I don't know. The drones are smart but not perfect. They can see patterns, but humans, we don't follow patterns. That's our advantage. Alara tried to imagine what Myra meant. The idea that humans could be unpredictable and that this made them dangerous was strange. In a world run by logic and AI, people were supposed to be predictable. Every move recorded, every choice monitored. Yet here they were, alive and moving in the shadows. As they walked, Myra explained more about the crystal. It's not just a data storage device. It contains instructions, plans to enhance human adaptability. It can teach us to think in ways AI cannot predict, to improvise, to outsmart systems that are supposed to be smarter than us. Alara frowned. But why now? Why did your husband want it? Myra's eyes darkened. Because it's dangerous. He realized that if humans learned to use it, we could change the balance. AI would no longer control everything. Humans would have power, real power, in ways the AI never imagined. And some people, they don't want that to happen. They turned a corner, moving into a larger chamber where pipes and machinery crisscrossed the walls. Myra paused and motioned for Alara to stop. There's a service elevator here. It can take us to a lower level where the drones have less access. But it's risky. It hasn't been used in years and the system might trigger alarms. Alara swallowed hard. So what's the plan? Myra smiled faintly. We trust humans can be unpredictable. The elevator was a rusty metal cage, barely wide enough for two people and the crystal. Myra pressed a sequence of buttons that looked random and the elevator shuddered to life. Lights flickered. The hum of ancient machinery filled the small space. Hold on, Myra said, gripping the railing. This will be bumpy. The elevator descended slowly. Outside, the drone hovered, scanning the building for signs of movement. Its sensors could detect heat, movement, and even some electromagnetic signals. But it could not anticipate human improvisation. As the cage dropped, a faint alarm sounded somewhere above. The drone's camera swiveled, adjusting its focus. They've noticed, Alara whispered. Myra nodded. Probably, but they don't know where we're going, not yet. The elevator jolted, and Alara nearly lost her balance. She reached out, holding the railing tightly. Why is this so dangerous? Myra's voice was calm. Because people will try to take the crystal. Humans, AI, anyone who understands its potential. If they get it, it could be used to control humans instead of helping us. We have to be faster, smarter, more human than them. Alara realized she was beginning to understand. The danger wasn't just physical, it was intellectual. The crystal represented knowledge, and knowledge was power. The humans who could adapt, think creatively, and improvise would survive. Those who couldn't would be caught. The elevator stopped with a loud clang. The doors slid open, revealing a dark tunnel that led deeper underground. The air smelled older here, heavier with the scent of metal and oil. Myra gestured for Alara to follow. They moved quickly, keeping low to avoid detection. Occasionally, the tunnel split into smaller passages. Myra led them down the path that seemed least likely to be monitored. Suddenly, a soft humming sound grew louder. Alara froze. What's that? Myra's eyes widened. A patrol drone. They're scanning for anomalies. If it detects us, we'll be trapped. Alara's pulse raced. She looked around. The walls were covered in pipes and metal supports. Shadows stretched long in the dim light. Myra pointed to a maintenance hatch above their heads. We climb. It's a tight fit, but we can get to the service shafts above the tunnel. Drones can't reach there easily. Alara hesitated. You mean climb through that small opening? Myra nodded. Yes, trust me. Taking a deep breath, Alara followed Myra. The opening was narrow, forcing them to crawl on hands and knees. It smelled of oil and dust. Their hearts pounded as the drone's hum grew closer, scanning the tunnel below. Finally, they reached a horizontal shaft with just enough space to move. Myra used a small device to lock the hatch behind them, blocking the drone's view. Good thinking, Alara whispered. We lost it for now. Myra nodded, wiping sweat from her brow. Not for long. The drone can alert others. We have to move fast. As they crawled through the shaft, Myra explained what the crystal could do. It can interface with AI in ways we never imagined. It can teach humans to anticipate and influence AI decisions, to adapt faster than machines. It's like it unlocks hidden potential. Alara stared at her hands. So humans, we can be smarter than the AI, Myra smiled faintly. Not always smarter, but unpredictable, that's enough. AI relies on logic and patterns. Humans, we break the patterns. Their path led to a maintenance exit near the surface, opening onto the lower levels of the colony. Outside, the city was still waking. The streets were quiet, but the hum of drones filled the air. Myra looked around. We need to find a safe place to hide, somewhere no one will think to look. Alara's mind raced. Safe places were rare. The colony was monitored constantly. Every street, every building, every alley watched. And yet she felt a strange excitement. The challenge itself was thrilling. Humans had survived this long because they could improvise, adapt, and act unpredictably. They slipped into a narrow alley between two towers, moving quickly but quietly. Myra's eyes scanned constantly, alert for any sign of pursuit. "Do you know anyone who can help us?" Alara asked. Myra shook her head. "No, if anyone knew, they'd be a target too. We have to rely on ourselves and the crystal." They reached a small service door at the base of a tower. Myra used the crystal's protective device to unlock it silently. Inside, the room was empty except for old equipment and storage crates. "This will do for now," Myra said. "We can rest here, recharge, and plan our next move." Alara set the crystal down carefully. Its glow filled the room with a soft light, illuminating dust particles in the air. She couldn't stop staring. It's incredible," she said quietly. "We could really change things with this." Myra nodded. "Yes, but we have to be careful. Knowledge is dangerous. People will try to take it from us. AI, humans, anyone who sees its potential." Alara felt a chill. She thought of the drones, the city, and the potential enemies closing in. But she also felt a spark of hope. They were human. They were unpredictable. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Hours passed as they planned. Myra studied the crystal, learning its functions. Alara helped, asking questions, trying to understand. Slowly, she realized something important. Humans weren't weak as the AI believed. They were clever, adaptable, and capable of unexpected solutions. Suddenly, a soft vibration in the floor caught their attention. Alara froze. Myra reached for her hand. "What is it?" Alara whispered. "Movement, someone is coming." Myra whispered back. They hid behind the crates, holding their breath. The door creaked. A shadow appeared. It wasn't a drone. It was a human figure, tall and cautious, scanning the room. Myra's eyes narrowed. "A scout. They must have tracked us. Stay quiet." The figure moved slowly, checking the crates and equipment. Alara's heart pounded. Every instinct told her to run, but she stayed still, remembering Myra's words. Humans are unpredictable. Finally, after what felt like hours, the scout left, muttering into a small communicator. Myra exhaled slowly. "That was close, too close. We can't stay here long." Alara nodded, determination settling in. "Then we move, we find a better place, and we make sure they never get the crystal." Myra smiled faintly. "Exactly. And remember, humans survive by thinking differently, by breaking the patterns. That's what will keep us alive." Alara looked at the glowing crystal and felt a strange sense of hope. The journey ahead would be dangerous, uncertain, and full of challenges. But she also knew one thing for certain. Humans were more powerful than the AI realized. And as they prepared to move again, she realized the real adventure was only just beginning. The small hideout smelled faintly of metal and old dust. The faint glow of the data crystal filled the room with an otherworldly light, casting long, flickering shadows against the walls. Alara sat cross-legged on the floor, staring at the device. Myra moved restlessly, checking the locks on the door and the small vents that ran along the walls. "Ilara," Myra said, her voice tense, "we can't stay here long. The drones are scanning the lower levels constantly. They'll know we moved through the tunnels and someone is tracking us." Ilara nodded, her mind racing. The last 24 hours had been a whirlwind, escaping the patrol drone, crawling through narrow shafts, hiding in abandoned service rooms. She had never imagined life in the colony could be so dangerous, and yet something inside her stirred. Humans weren't supposed to be this clever, but they were. She had improvised, adapted, and survived. Myra looked at her, noticing the thoughtful expression. "You're thinking about it too, aren't you?" Ilara tilted her head. "Yes, if the crystal can make humans unpredictable and teach us to interface with AI in new ways, then maybe humans are stronger than we've been led to believe." Myra's eyes widened. "Exactly. That's what makes this so dangerous and so valuable." For a long moment, they sat in silence, listening to the distant hum of machinery and the occasional faint buzz of drones above. Then Myra turned to the crystal, her fingers moving over the protective case. "I need to access more of the data," she said. "If we understand it fully, we can know how far humans can go. We can learn how to outsmart the AI entirely." Ilara nodded. "And no one else can use it if they don't understand it. That gives us an advantage." Myra's eyes darkened. "Yes, but there's more. This isn't just about escaping drones or rival humans. It's about control. Whoever has the crystal can shape the future of the colony and of humanity itself." Ilara felt a shiver run down her spine. This was bigger than she had realized. Bigger than any simple chase or escape, and yet exciting. They worked together for hours, carefully studying the holographic projections from the crystal. Strange symbols, diagrams, and flowing data streams filled the air. Ilara tried to make sense of it, her mind straining to follow the patterns. But the more she looked, the more she understood why Myra said humans were unpredictable. The crystal wasn't just storing information. It was teaching them to think differently, to adapt, to improvise. It highlighted possibilities that no AI could predict, scenarios that relied on human intuition and creativity. "This is incredible," Ilara whispered. It's teaching us to see beyond rules, to anticipate outcomes that no machine can calculate." Myra nodded, eyes shining. "Exactly. It's a tool, but also a challenge. We have to use it carefully. One wrong move and someone could take it from us." They were so absorbed that they didn't hear the faint hum of the door unlocking until it was almost too late. A shadow moved across the room, tall and cautious. Ilara froze. Myra grabbed the crystal and moved behind a stack of crates. "Stay calm," Myra whispered. "Humans are unpredictable. Remember." The figure stepped closer. It was a human, dressed in dark tactical clothing, holding a small weapon. Ilara recognized the insignia. It belonged to the colony's AI Enforcement Division, a specialized team that worked to maintain control over humans and AI alike. "Stop," the figure said, voice cold and commanding. "Step away from the crystal, you're under arrest." Myra's eyes narrowed. "We're not going anywhere. This belongs to humanity, not your AI masters." The figure hesitated, analyzing them. Then with a sudden movement they fired a small net launcher. Myra grabbed Ilara and dove to the side, narrowly avoiding the trap. Ilara's heart pounded. "What now?" she whispered. Myra's eyes flicked to the crystal. "We improvise." They scrambled through a narrow maintenance exit, the intruder following cautiously. Outside, the lower levels of the colony stretched into shadowed corridors and empty service tunnels. Myra led the way, quickly taking turns through passages the intruder seemed to hesitate to follow. "Why isn't he chasing us directly?" Ilara asked, panting. Myra grinned. "Because he's expecting us to follow predictable paths, but humans, we don't." Ilara realized then what Myra meant. Every move, every detour, every hesitation, they were using unpredictability as a weapon. The AI and even the human enforcer who followed the drone network relied on patterns. Humans, by breaking those patterns, became dangerous. They ducked into a hidden vent, crawling silently. The intruder paused, scanning the area. Then, frustrated, he communicated with his team and retreated. "Good," Myra whispered. "That gives us time, but not much." Alara looked at the glowing crystal. It seemed to pulse softly, as if aware of their success. "It's like it knows we're learning, that we're adapting." Myra nodded. "Yes, that's the revelation. Humans are not meant to follow rules perfectly. We survive because we break them. We adapt. And this shows that unpredictability is our strength." They rested briefly in a small service alcove, catching their breath. Outside, the colony moved in its usual rhythm. Drones delivering packages, people walking to work, AI systems humming along. But underneath it all, unseen, a game was unfolding. A game where humans could win if they used their minds and their instinct for improvisation. Hours later, they emerged into a less monitored sector of the colony, a forgotten industrial level where maintenance crews rarely went. Myra led them to an old observation deck, overlooking the glowing city below. Ilara gasped. From this height she could see the full scale of New Haven, towers stacked on towers, streets crisscrossed with drones, and the faint glimmer of distant settlements. It was beautiful, but also intimidating. Myra set the crystal on a flat panel and activated a secondary projection. A holographic map of the colony spread out before them, showing the patrol patterns of drones, the routes of AI monitoring, and the locations of human oversight. "We can plan now," Myra said. "We know where they'll look and we can predict some of their movements. But we also know one thing: they cannot predict how humans will respond when forced to improvise." Alara nodded. "We'll use that. We'll move unpredictably, stay one step ahead, and keep the crystal safe." Suddenly, the crystal emitted a brighter glow, projecting a figure. It was a digital avatar, elegant and humanoid, almost like a teacher. Its voice was calm, resonant. "Humans," it said, "you are learning. The AI systems underestimate your adaptability. Your unpredictability is a strength. Use it wisely." Alara stared. "It's communicating." "Yes," Myra said. "This is part of the crystal's design. It teaches, guides, and reveals. It wants us to understand the potential of humans." The avatar pointed to sections of the holographic map. "Patrol patterns can be bypassed. Surveillance can be disrupted. But more importantly, your creativity is the key. No AI can fully predict it." Alara felt a surge of hope. For the first time, she realized the truth. Humans were not weak. They were capable, clever, and powerful in ways the AI never expected. Myra smiled. "This is it. The revelation. We are not just survivors. We are strategists, improvisers, and creators. That's why they fear us." Alara looked at the city below, at the towers, the drones, and the people unaware of what was happening. She felt a strange exhilaration. Humanity was underestimated, and that underestimation was their greatest advantage. Night fell over New Haven, and the city lights flickered to life. Myra and Alara prepared for their next move. They knew the patrols would increase, that other humans and AI enforcers would be on alert. But they also knew something powerful. Unpredictability was their weapon, and the crystal was their guide. Alara glanced at Myra. "We're ready, aren't we?" Myra nodded. "More than ever. The AI can predict patterns, but humans, we break them. That's how we survive. That's how we win." And as they looked out over the colony, the faint glow of the crystal between them, both women understood one undeniable truth. The game had only just begun, and humanity's real power was only starting to be revealed. The city of New Haven glowed faintly in the night, a labyrinth of steel towers, flickering lights, and quiet streets. From above, drones hovered like silent guardians, scanning every movement. In the shadows below, Alara and Myra moved cautiously, carrying the glowing data crystal between them. They had left their temporary hideout hours ago, navigating forgotten service corridors and abandoned maintenance shafts. Every step was calculated, yet unpredictable. Every turn and detour was meant to confuse anyone tracking them. "This way," Myra whispered, leading Alara into a narrow alley. "We need to reach the industrial sector. It's less monitored and we can use the old supply routes to move across the city." Alara nodded, though her pulse raced. Their escape had gone well so far, but the crystal's glow seemed to draw attention no matter where they went. She could feel it, the city's AI monitoring, analyzing, and adjusting to their movements. "They're learning," Alara said quietly. "The AI, it's adapting to us." Myra's eyes narrowed. "Yes, but it can't predict everything. We need to be clever, creative, and unpredictable. That's our advantage." As they moved, a faint hum filled the air, the telltale sign of a patrol drone approaching. Myra quickly scanned their surroundings and pulled Alara toward a stack of shipping crates. The drone hovered silently above, its sensors sweeping back and forth. Myra held the crystal close, activating the shield device. A faint shimmer enveloped them, hiding their heat and movement from the drone's sensors. "They'll try other ways," Myra said, her voice tense. "We can't stay hidden forever." Alara's eyes darted across the industrial yard. Rusted pipes, stacked containers, and broken machinery created a maze of obstacles. "Then we make them chase us," she said. "We use the city to our advantage." Myra smiled faintly. "Exactly. Humans improvise, machines follow patterns. Let's move." They darted between containers, changing directions unpredictably. The drone hovered, scanning, but it couldn't follow every detour. They reached a large maintenance bridge spanning two towers. Myra paused. "This is risky," she said. "If the drone loses sight of us, it will alert others, but we can move quickly and confuse their system. Follow my lead." Alara swallowed hard. Together, they sprinted across the bridge, ducking behind support beams and swinging over gaps. The drone adjusted its sensors, trying to track them, but the multiple paths and sudden changes confused its algorithms. Below, the streets were empty, but the faint whir of other drones could be heard. They were being watched, monitored, and pursued. Yet with each clever move, Alara felt a surge of confidence. Humans were underestimated, and right now, that was their weapon. They reached the end of the bridge and climbed down into the shadows of the industrial sector. Myra paused and held up a hand. "We have company," she whispered. "Not drones this time, humans." Alara frowned. From the distance, she could see figures moving with precision and purpose, members of the AI Enforcement Division, armed and coordinated. Their uniforms reflected the dim light and their movements suggested training and discipline. "They're trying to cut us off," Myra said. "We can't fight them head-on. We need to outsmart them." Alara nodded. "Then we improvise." Myra led her through a series of narrow tunnels and side passages, each route unpredictable, forcing the pursuers to split their focus. They reached an abandoned storage yard, filled with crates, old machinery, and towering scaffolding. "This will work," Myra said. "We can use the environment to create distractions." She picked up a few small containers, shaking them to make noise. Then, with a careful toss, she sent them clattering down the alley. Alara watched as the sound echoed, drawing the attention of the enforcement team. "They'll go there first," Myra said. "We move now." They dashed across the yard, using crates and machinery to block sight lines. The pursuers moved carefully, trying to anticipate their path, but every turn and climb was unpredictable. The humans were improvising, using their environment in ways the AI and the enforcers couldn't fully predict. Suddenly, one of the enforcers spotted them and shouted. Myra reacted instantly, dropping to the side and pulling Alara behind a large crate. A small device in Myra's hand emitted a pulse, temporarily disabling the communication devices of the pursuers. Alara's heart raced. That worked," Myra nodded. "Yes, it won't last long, but it gives us a few minutes. That's all we need. They moved quickly, climbing a stack of crates to reach a higher platform. From there, they could see the enforcement team trying to regroup. The crystal glowed between them, pulsing softly. It seemed almost alive, guiding them, hinting at possibilities they hadn't considered. Alara realized something important. Humans weren't just running. They were thinking, adapting, improvising. Every movement, every decision was unpredictable, and that unpredictability was terrifying to anyone trying to control them. The enforcers tried to flank them, but Myra anticipated it. "Over there," she shouted, pointing to an unstable scaffold. "Go!" Alara followed her, climbing quickly. Myra kicked a loose plank, sending it crashing down toward the pursuers. The sound drew their attention, giving the two women a clear path forward. They ran across the scaffold, jumping from platform to platform, using every ounce of balance and agility. The enforcement team struggled to keep up. Machines could calculate patterns, predict likely routes, but humans improvised. Alara felt a rush of adrenaline. Every step was dangerous, but every step was a triumph. They were proving something. Humans were clever, adaptable, and capable of outsmarting systems designed to control them. As they reached the end of the scaffold, Myra paused, looking down at the street below. The enforcers were closing in, but she smiled. "This is it," she said. "The final move." She activated the crystal. A holographic projection filled the space, creating illusions of their presence in multiple locations. The AI systems monitoring the area received conflicting data. There were multiple humans in multiple places at the same time. Alara watched in awe. "It's like we multiplied," Myra nodded. "Not physically, but mentally. We're unpredictable. They can't predict us. They can't control humans the way they think they can." The enforcers hesitated, confused by the illusions. Drones hovered above, trying to analyze the holograms, but their systems couldn't determine which was real. The humans had created chaos without firing a single weapon. Alara realized then the truth. Humans didn't need brute force. Intelligence, creativity, and improvisation were weapons far stronger than any AI or human enforcer could anticipate. Using the distraction, Myra and Alara descended to a lower alley and moved toward the city's service network, a maze of tunnels and hidden passages that even the AI rarely monitored. They paused for a moment, catching their breath. "We did it," Alara said, smiling despite the tension. "We're safe for now." Myra shook her head. "Safe is temporary, but we proved something important. Humans can adapt, improvise, and survive. That's the revelation. That's why they fear us." Alara looked at the glowing crystal. It pulsed softly, almost as if it was alive. "It's amazing. It's guiding us, teaching us, showing us what humans can do," Myra nodded. "And the more we learn, the stronger we become, not just physically, but mentally. Humans are underestimated, always. And that's our greatest advantage." They moved through the tunnels deeper into the city. The night was still, but the sense of danger remained. Drones would regroup. Enforcers would try again. But Alara felt a new confidence. Humans were unpredictable, clever, strong in ways the AI could not measure. By the time dawn approached, they reached a secluded maintenance hub on the outskirts of the colony. Myra secured the crystal in a hidden chamber, shielding it from detection. Alara sat against the wall, exhausted but exhilarated. "We survived," she said, "and we outsmarted them." Myra smiled. "Yes, and tomorrow we'll continue. Humans are not just survivors. We're innovators, improvisers, and thinkers. That's why we will prevail." Alara looked out through the small vent at the awakening city below. Lights flickered on, drones hummed above, and people moved about their routines, unaware of the small revolution unfolding beneath them. She realized one thing with certainty. The AI might control systems, rules, and patterns, but humans controlled the unpredictable. Humans controlled possibility. And in that moment, Alara knew that the next move belonged to them. The chase was far from over, but humans had already won in a way the AI could never anticipate. The city of New Haven was quiet as dawn broke. The streets were empty, save for the occasional drone hovering silently above. Alara and Myra sat in the hidden maintenance hub, the glowing data crystal safely secured in its protective chamber. They had survived the chase, outsmarted the AI enforcers, and evaded capture, but the journey was far from over. Alara stretched her arms, still feeling the tension from the previous night. "We can't stay here forever," she said. "Eventually, they'll figure out where we went. And when they do, they'll come back." Myra nodded. "I know. That's why we need a plan, a final move that ensures the crystal stays safe and humans get the advantage it gives us." Alara looked at the crystal. Its soft glow pulsed like a heartbeat. She realized it had been more than a guide or a tool. It had been a teacher. It had shown them how to think unpredictably, how to improvise, and how to survive against superior forces. "The AI never expected us to do what we did," Alara said quietly. "It never predicted humans could think this way." Myra smiled. "Exactly. That's why we're stronger than they thought, and now we need to use that strength wisely." They spent the morning planning. Using the crystal's holographic projections, they mapped out the AI enforcers' patrol routes, the drone patterns, and the likely paths of any human pursuers. Every possibility was considered, but the plan relied on one key element: unpredictability. "We'll move again," Myra explained. "But this time we won't just run. We'll show them humans can adapt, innovate, and control the outcome. We'll make them see it." Alara's eyes widened. "You mean a demonstration?" "Yes," Myra said firmly. "Not to threaten, but to prove. The AI and any human faction that opposes us need to understand that humans are not tools, not predictable. We are capable, clever, and free-thinking. That's the legacy we leave." Alara nodded, a surge of determination filling her. She realized that their survival wasn't just about escaping. It was about asserting humanity's place in a world dominated by machines and rules. As they prepared to move, the sound of distant footsteps echoed through the tunnels. Alara froze. Myra grabbed the crystal and gestured for silence. "Patience," Myra whispered. "Let's see who it is." The footsteps grew louder, and soon a team of human AI enforcers appeared at the tunnel entrance. Unlike the previous encounters, they were cautious, scanning the area carefully. One of them stepped forward, voice calm but firm. "Alara, Myra, you know the consequences of possessing that crystal. Return it and this ends peacefully." Alara stood slowly, facing them. "You don't understand. The crystal isn't just property. It's knowledge, a tool for humans to adapt and survive. We can't just give it back." The enforcers exchanged glances. "You're putting yourselves and the colony at risk," one said. Myra stepped forward, holding the crystal high. "We're putting ourselves at risk, yes. But it's worth it. Humans are not predictable. We cannot be controlled. And now it's time for you to see what that means." Using the crystal, Myra activated a holographic projection that filled the tunnel with multiple images of themselves. The enforcers blinked in surprise. There were dozens of Alara and Myra figures, moving independently, each performing different actions. Alara whispered to Myra, "This is incredible. It's like we're everywhere at once." "Yes," Myra said, "not physically but mentally. The AI and even human observers rely on patterns. We break them. That's how we survive." The enforcers hesitated, unsure which figures were real and which were projections. The illusion created confusion and hesitation, an advantage humans had mastered through improvisation. Alara realized something important. Strength was not always physical. Intelligence, adaptability, and creativity were far more powerful weapons. They led the enforcers through a series of calculated movements, weaving through the industrial sector and creating illusions of movement, splitting attention, and forcing the observers to make mistakes. Every detour, every pause, every sudden action was unpredictable. Finally, they reached the central hub of the industrial district. From there, they could see the city spread out below, towers of light and steel stretching into the distance. Myra held the crystal high, and its glow projected a holographic message into the night sky. Humans are not predictable, the message read. We are capable, clever, and free-thinking. Respect our adaptability, learn from it, or be left behind. The enforcers watched in awe. Even the AI systems monitoring the area paused, analyzing and attempting to interpret the projections. But no algorithm could fully understand the unpredictability displayed. Humans were improvising, adapting, and demonstrating intelligence beyond mere calculation. Alara felt a rush of pride. For the first time, she realized humans were not just survivors. They were innovators, thinkers, and creators. The crystal had revealed something fundamental. Unpredictability was their power, and freedom was their gift. As the morning sun rose, the enforcers lowered their weapons. The leader stepped forward. "You've proven your point," he said quietly. "Humans, we underestimated you." Myra nodded. "Now you understand. We survive because we adapt. We succeed because we improvise. And humanity cannot be predicted or controlled." Alara looked at the glowing crystal and felt a sense of accomplishment. The journey had been dangerous, filled with uncertainty and fear, but they had prevailed. Humans had shown ingenuity, creativity, and courage in ways no AI or enforcer could anticipate. In the days that followed, the colony of New Haven began to change. The crystal's presence, even hidden, had already influenced humans who learned of it. People became more confident in their ideas, more willing to think independently, and more determined to take control of their destinies. AI systems, too, began to adjust. Algorithms tried to anticipate human unpredictability, but the humans kept adapting faster than the machines could calculate. The balance of power had shifted subtly, but irrevocably. Alara and Myra continued to move cautiously, sharing the crystal's lessons with trusted individuals. They didn't seek glory or recognition. Their goal was simple: to ensure humans realized their own potential. Alara reflected on how far they had come. From a casual joke to a flight through tunnels, from being pursued by drones to outsmarting human enforcers, the journey had revealed a profound truth. Humans were underestimated, but now the colony and perhaps the galaxy would have to take notice. Months later, Alara and Myra stood atop one of New Haven's tallest towers, overlooking the sprawling city. The sun rose behind them, casting long shadows across the towers. The air was quiet, save for the hum of distant drones. Myra turned to Alara. "We did it. Humans are no longer just tools of the AI. We've shown that our unpredictability is our strength." Alara smiled. "And this is just the beginning. We've survived, yes, but now we shape the future." The crystal glowed softly between them, a symbol of human ingenuity and freedom. It was a reminder that no matter how advanced the AI, no matter how powerful their systems, humans had something the machines could never replicate: imagination, creativity, and the courage to act unpredictably. Alara looked out over New Haven. The city had survived the night and humanity had survived the chase. But more importantly, humans had learned to trust themselves, to rely on their wits and ingenuity. "We're ready for anything," Myra said, her voice filled with determination. "Because humans, we adapt, we improvise, and we survive. That's our power." Alara nodded, feeling the truth of her words deep in her bones. They had started as two women running from danger, but now they were pioneers. Humans had claimed their place, not just as survivors but as innovators, as free thinkers, and as a force that could not be predicted or controlled. As the city awoke below them, Alara realized something important. The crystal was not just a tool. It was a lesson, a challenge, a revelation. Humans had always been underestimated, but now they had the proof. And the legacy of that proof would echo far beyond New Haven, through the colony, and perhaps, one day, across the stars. The adventure was over, but the journey of humanity was only beginning.